I'll start this next video out by showing you a problem, and well, here's the way things are supposed to work. These stake pocket anchors pop up, and you can hook a couple of ratchet straps in them and get them tied down. I got one, 6 of them on this truck. Problem is they break, and I'll show you how in a minute here, but first I'm going to go ahead and try and pop these out of here. They also get corroded. That one's good. Okay, that one came out. Well, taken apart, I just broke another one. This is what's been happening to them. This is the third one that's broken. This top piece breaks out, and that was what sat up on top here. It has nothing to hold it, so it drops down inside the stake pocket, and you got to reach down and fish it out. So. Welcome back to the Old Iron Lever channel. My name is Bob, and we're about to embark on another project. The basic project is going to be improving on my ability to tie heavy loads down in my pickup. I have bed anchors and the original factory anchor points, and I need something better for the top of the bed rails. And so I've got this whole project will be showing how I came about making my solution for the problem I had. It'll be in several parts. The first part, this first part, will be the concept, the problem, the design ideas, and then making a prototype, and then the next one will actually start making the production anchors. So anyway, without further ado, let's just get on with it. Well, I'm ready to start in the actual construction of this project. And you know, if you've watched other videos, I like to stop and talk a little bit about the design and why I did things the way I did, or that I wasn't thinking about anything at all, just going as I went, whatever. This particular one, I looked at basically 3 different designs for an anchor to go in the stake pocket. One of them would be a side view. They have this is the top of the pocket, and this is a little plastic rail cover that surrounds everything except the pockets. And then from the top of that pocket down to a hole in the side of the pocket is 3 3/4 inches. So I thought I might make something rectangular that would drop down in there and have a captive nut on it. We could just bolt it in, and then we could have all of our attachment things to the top. And that sounded kind of complicated. Plan B was to build a plate that would drop down inside the pocket and be bigger than the pocket, so you'd run it down sideways, then turn it flat and suck it up against the bottom of the pocket. And it would basically be a piece of steel. This is the opening, and on this side of it, the inboard side, we have 3/8 of an inch. On the ends, we have 1 inch before we run into something, and 7/8 of an inch on the outboard side. And I thought I would make this like a 1/2 inch piece of steel, and then use the mill and rotary table and things to cut out a groove where this lip here, this edge of the hole, actually has the sheet metal's pressed down into it some. I think it's about 3/16 of an inch, and so I, make a groove to accommodate that, and then the plate would come up and have clearance for that, and it would come up against the bottom of the top rail of the around the stake pocket. Well, I didn't like that one either. Plan C is the one I came up with, and this is actually what I'm going to do. One of there's 6 pockets. 4 of them were drawn like I showed you here, and one of them is cut off. The rear one is cut off tight, the 2 on the rear, and there is no end space. And routing out, or milling out that radius around there for the the groove for that piece of sheet metal to be cleared in was too much trouble. So what I decided to do is thinking about the design. I want to keep it simple to build, simple to install. I want it to be sturdy and rigid, whatever you want to call it, and I want it to be corrosion resistant. So I got some stainless steel, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And what I finally settled on is cutting a piece of steel, the width of this, which is 1.660, and add 3/8 of an inch on either side. It doesn't have to be that, it could be a 1/4 inch, it doesn't really matter. And just groove out the center of it so it would fit up underneath the outside edge of the inside and outside part of the rail. And this whole part would be depressed from the outside of that to the outside of that. And so it'd basically be a rectangular piece with a channel cut in the middle of it, a big wide channel. Then I would drill a hole, countersink a hole on the back side of it, and that'd be big enough for a nut to be put in and either epoxied in or wedged in or something to make it captive. Then I would have a top piece that would go over this. So this piece, this channeled piece would come up from the bottom. There'd be a top piece that went over the top of the bed rail, and it would be milled out around the outside edge so it just fit inside of this dimension here. And that would lock it into place so it can't move around. I'll talk about why in a minute. It would have a hole in it, and there would be these guys milled into the top of the top plate. There'd be slots like this, or possibly I'll cut this piece off and just use the ring and just create a groove for it. And so there'd be a three-part sandwich. It'd be a 1/2 inch part underneath the top of the rail. There'd be a plate on top that was milled out for the ring, and then there would be a cap on top of that held the ring captive. All 3 of those would be held together with a stainless steel bolt that goes down through it and into that captive nut in the bottom of the bottom piece. And that would be the thing that holds this whole sandwich together. This will be a little more obvious as I get going. I haven't sketched it out. Maybe I'll draw you a little 3D sketch, although honestly I don't know exactly what it's going to look like because I'm not there yet. So that solved all my problems, I think, as far as meeting my design criteria. So I went out and ordered some steel, and I guess I won't name names, but I have a supplier that I buy a lot of my steel from. Small shapes, 1 inch square tube, and pieces of round stock and flat bar and all this kind of stuff. And I'm perfectly satisfied with them. I've done business with them for years, and will continue to. But once in a while I go to buy something, it's just, this is prohibitively expensive. And so I went online and I found an eBay seller that apparently gets drops from fabrication shops and has lots of them, so he sells them. So I got 3 of these pieces of 1/2 inch 304 stainless, and I can cut up to make the little channeled out plate on the bottom. I got two of these 1/4 inch pieces that I can cut to make the center part of the sandwich. It'll be grooved out for this thing, and then this will be, top of this will be flush with the top of that, and then there'll be a smaller piece of the 1/4 inch on top of the whole thing here to sandwich this thing in place. And why am I doing that? I don't want this to be able to rotate. That actually could be a disaster. If I had the thought of just having a bolt here and having this anchor in here and just letting it swing, and that's fine. But the problem is that if I have a strap going around a load from the front around an object to the other front and around the center, from the center around the other way around the object to the center, okay, that's fine. That'll be pulling this thing this direction. Now suppose I do the same thing toward the back. I have something tied into the back of the truck and I have another strap going the other direction. I have two straps pulling on this. If one of the straps gets loose, then this thing's going to be free to swing and relieve the pressure on the other strap. And you could wind up with the entire load being loose when one strap gets loose. So I don't want to do that. I want this thing to be locked in tight. They just can't move. And so I'm gonna make it so that it's not going anywhere. I may revisit that design later on, but we'll see. Now my plan is to build a prototype, check it out, see if I like it, make any adjustments, and then I'll build the other 5 or build 6 more, whatever, after the prototype's done. So I think I will just get on with it now. So the first piece I'm going to cut off is a little over 266, which is the length of the slot, the hole in the pocket. That dimension is not critical at all. Well, none of them are. And then 2.41, which is what I'm marking off now, is the length, or the inboard to outboard. This is front to back. Inboard to outboard on our channel, our milled out slot's going to be right in here. And this gives us the 1.66 dimension for the actual hole in the stake pocket, and 3/8 of an inch on each side for the part to come up underneath and push against the bottom of the rail. So let's take this out and lop it off in the Wells bandsaw. I feel like I got to show this off just once because it's brand new. I just got a Kalamazoo 2x48 belt grinder. I got it for basically deburring and small amounts of shaping. And here we go. We're going to mill a slot across here. It's going to be 200 thousandths deep, and it's going to be 1.66 wide plus the width of the sheet metal, which is not very much. I'm going to make it 1 3/4 inches wide, and I'll center it in between the sides. Okay, now I'm going to touch off on my jaws. Okay, center the line, come back to 0. So we're looking for 1 3/4 inch slot here, and I don't know the exact width of that. I don't care. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to mill a slot right down the middle with this cutter, then I'll measure the width of the slot, and then I'll figure out how much more I need to take off of each side to get out to 1 3/4 inches. Okay, upon trying it, I couldn't get it to go down into the hole. I could get it to go through the hole at a diagonal, which is no problem, but I didn't have enough room to turn it so it laid flat. So I'm going to have to, I don't know the number, I'm going to take a 1/2 inch off of either end here. Okay, here we go again. Now, with it narrowed, drop it down there, pick it up. A little bit, the slot's a little wider than it needs to be, but the piece in general seems to fit perfectly, so we're going to go with the dimensions we have. Well, I finally settled on this design here. That left me with enough thickness here that it's just fairly steady, or fairly heavy, less likely to flex. And these grooves here are just deep enough to go around that lip that's hanging down inside the top of the stake pocket. This hole needs to be milled off right to that line right there. So the next thing we're going to do is mill out a recess for this to sit on top of that plate, and there'll be a third plate on top of that across here that will keep it from rotating and moving around, so the straps always stay tight. That looks perfect. And then I want to come some at 302 back of the hole, and then across to 602 on the other side and down again. And I'm sitting at 0 Z. I'm going to take, I don't know, 50 thousandths cuts each time. see how this fits. It's going to have a little wiggle to it, but not much. Okay, now we have to make a top for it. That left just a thin little sliver in there in between, well, right here where we milled all that off. So I'm going to go ahead and run the mill through there and clean it up. Well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. With several more, I don't know how many more. It could be just one more. Probably more like 2 or 3 more segments to come. The next one will be, we're going to actually start making the parts for the production run of 6, one for each of the stake pockets. Anyway, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have more subscribers. And if you have something to say you think I'd like to hear, well, just leave some comments in and let me know. And by the way, just happen to be standing in front of my little sticker wall here, and just mention that any of you other guys that are YouTube machinist creators, if you want to swap stickers with me, just let me know somehow. You can throw a note up in the comments and I'll get a hold of you and we'll swap addresses or something. So until we get to the next video, happy trails.